Hi everybody, it's Ms. Marple again. For today's lesson, we're going to be learning more about the incredibly important mitochondria, the ribosomes, and the endoplasmic reticulum. In addition, I'll talk to you about the function of the vacuoles, the Golgi apparatus, and the lysosome. So for this lesson, I need you guys to get out the pair of Venn diagrams that you made for the last video. As we move along, you're going to be filling them in. I have a hint for you. Remember, prokaryotes do not have any organelles that have membranes. They're very simple, they're very primitive. So, remember also that whenever you need to stop and write something down, just pause me. I won't even know that you've done it. First, let's talk about the mitochondria. The mitochondria have membranes. That's a hint for you. Their purpose is to take the food that you eat and turn it into a substance called ATP. Now, ATP is the main energy currency of cells. Nearly all of it is made inside the mitochondria. I'll talk more about this in just a moment. Here is a diagram of a mitochondria. It's a drawing. As you can see, the mitochondria are typically drawn in a bean-shaped form. Some cells only have a few. These are the kinds of cells that don't really need to expend very much energy. But other cells, like muscle cells, might have dozens of mitochondria. In this diagram, you'll see again the bean-shaped drawing, for when people illustrate the way a mitochondria looks. I don't know, who is it who agreed that whenever we draw mitochondria, we'll draw a bean with zigzags inside? This is what the mitochondria looks like under the electron microscope. In this version, you can see that it looks kind of like a potato. On the inside, you can see these membrane-bound lines. This is where the ATP is made inside of the cell. Here's another drawing, and oh no! Here are the mitochondria drawn like the little beans. But something bad has happened. Notice over on the left side that this cell has ruptured and all of the organelles and cytoplasm appear to be spilling out. And bad things are happening. All right, this is what an ATP molecule looks like when it's drawn with its chemical configuration. Its energy is contained in these groups on the end of the molecule that are called phosphate groups. When a phosphate group breaks off of another phosphate group, it releases a lot of energy. It's kind of like a tiny microscopic explosion inside the cell, and this is what makes things happen. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. Come on and say it. I know you can. Adenosine triphosphate. This is what the energy currency of the cell is. Without it, you could not have muscles contract. It also makes your heart beat, and it makes nerve impulses, and pretty much anything a cell needs to do will be done with ATP. This brings up a very interesting point. I know a lot of you guys want to believe that zombies are possible, but keep this in mind. Only living eukaryotes have mitochondria that can make ATP. A dead organism also has dead cells. Dead cells cannot make ATP. And this is why you cannot have zombies. The mitochondria are dead, and the mitochondria cannot make ATP, therefore muscles cannot contract, and a zombie would not be able to move, let alone eat your face off. Next, let's talk about ribosomes. Ribosomes are like little balls, that's how we draw them, and this is where proteins are made. Making proteins is the primary function of a cell. They do not have any membrane. That should be a hint to you for your Venn diagram. Next, the endoplasmic reticulum is also known as the ER. ER is so much easier to say than endoplasmic reticulum. So it's a system of tunnels that are inside the cell, and their purpose is to move things from one place to another. Please note, they do have membrane. Every kind of cell has ribosomes, even your prokaryotes. Inside of a cell, you will see the drawings that show a series of tubes. These tubes are like pathways, tunnels, or subways that take materials like a protein from one side of the cell and then shoot it out all the way to another side of the cell or to wherever it needs to go to make its function happen. All right, we're going on now to question 2. And we'll talk about the purpose of the vacuole, Golgi apparatus, and the lysosome. First, the vacuole. The vacuole has a membrane, and the purpose of the vacuole is to function like a storage system. Animal and fungal cells have them, and so do protists. Now, a plant does not have a vacuole. Instead, it has one giant one called the central vacuole. Remember, animal cells have a number of small vacuoles, but a plant cell has one giant vacuole. All right. In this diagram, you can see that this animal cell has a number of small vacuoles, and they're basically used to store things like nutrients that a cell doesn't need at the moment. It also will store water and waste. In a plant cell, the central vacuole mostly stores water. It helps keep the cell rigid and upright, as if it were a giant water balloon inside of a shoebox. It helps give the plant cell structure and shape, and it can also store that water until it's needed later. Next, the Golgi apparatus. Some people call it a Golgi body or a Golgi complex. It doesn't matter to me which you use, but it looks like a flattened set of pancakes. They're membrane-bound sacs, and the purpose of them is to wrap up and package things before they can be sent through the endoplasmic reticulum to some other location within the cell or even outside of the cell. In this diagram, you can see right here that the Golgi apparatus is typically drawn by people like it's a stack of pancakes. What will happen is, let's say that a protein needs to be transported out of the cell to another location in the organism. The protein will end up on the top of the stack of the Golgi body, and it'll be wrapped up with this membrane just like you might wrap up a Christmas present. Then it will enter into the endoplasmic reticulum and be transported to some other location. Here's another picture of the Golgi that I liked mostly because it has this juicy looking drawing that even looks like not only is it a stack of pancakes, but it already has the blueberry syrup on top. Finally, the lysosomes function like a janitor or a housekeeper inside the cell to seek out, destroy, and clean up any kinds of wastes or mistaked or damaged items that might occur within a cell. We don't want all the garbage just sitting around, so the lysosomes are there to clean things up. All right. In the next part of the video series, Chapter 3, we're going to talk more about how plant cells are different from animal cells. Okay, kids, when you're done with this video, be sure you finish your exit ticket. Have a great day.